Hello,
Hello.
um, Collin. Thank you for joining the Amanda Show for Full Out Recruiting. We are going to just chat a little bit about your recruiting experience and just kind of everything that went into that. But if you want to give us just a quick little recap of, where you're from, your club gym, and where you ended up going to compete in college, that would be awesome.
Awesome. Well, my name is Collin Lillie. I'm a gymnast from the Dallas, Texas area. The last club I was at is Infinite Balance Gymnastics in Plano, Texas, and I attended the College of William and Mary from 2017 to 2021.
Nice. Awesome. So when you started your recruiting process, like what year did you start? Did you start your freshman year, sophomore year?
I started my junior year, which I believe was 2015, 2016. And yeah, I was in the 11th grade when I started recruiting.
Okay. And did you do that by yourself? Did your coaches help you? Did you have like who kind of was involved with all of that?
Mostly me. I kind of leaned on like my coaches for kind of general help because they didn't know a ton about it, and my parents, of course. But mostly it was me by myself trying to
Okay.
navigate that whole world.
And how was that? Was that a little overwhelming or, how did that go?
Definitely daunting because at least for the guys' side, there's so few schools to choose from, and so to kind of put yourself out there, you kind of have to hope you
Yeah.
um, strike with one of them. Um, so it was very daunting at first. And looking back, I know like if I had help, it would have definitely eased the burden of getting myself out there, making connections, stuff like that. But once it, did come to fruition and those contacts became more regular, it became a much more easy process, easy until I decided on a school, which was William and Mary.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of that, when did you actually commit to William and Mary?
So I had been talking to them since the start of my recruiting journey, which was like my junior year. And then things got rolling around the fall of my senior year.
Okay.
And I didn't actually get on, like, solidified, had a spot onto the team until about February. Um,
Okay, so you were
yeah,
kind of late.
yeah.
Was
And
that
they
a little bit stressful?
a little bit stressful. And I think, I don't know if you want to include this part, but that year, I think they just were a little later on the
Okay.
recruiting, just in terms of solidifying everything.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, it was a little stressful to wait that long, but I knew that I had put myself out there in the best light, and hopefully something was going to come of all the hard work I had done
Yeah.
until that point.
Do you remember how many other guys were recruited like with your class?
There were four total, or three total. No, four total.
Okay.
Yeah, four total.
Okay, so not
hmm
many.
Yeah.
Um, so what about the process did you enjoy the most?
It quickly taught me how to advocate for myself in a
Yeah.
professional way. It definitely equips you with how to talk to adults, how to not manage yourself, but put yourself out there with, the best kind of presence you can, and to just be professional, have good networking skills, show up for yourself in a different kind of way outside of gymnastics, which I thought was a really good life lesson to learn. Um,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And what do you think was probably the most important thing to be aware of, while you're going through or while you're starting that recruiting process?
it is never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
um, Unfortunately, it is a um, totally unique route for everyone. There are streamlined things you do, but for everyone, it's going to be totally different depending on your experience, your gymnastics, where you want to go to school. So I think the most important piece of advice I would give to anyone is just trust your own journey, trust your own process. Whatever is going to come to you, and you have to put the work in. Um,
Yeah.
so just trust the process is all I would say.
Yeah. Why? So it's really hard, I think, for guys. There's just not as many programs. It's still very difficult for the girls' side too. But why do you think it's so hard, or why can it be so difficult for athletes to get noticed?
I think just because one, there's so many of us, and then the options we have to choose just get smaller and smaller and smaller,
Yeah.
um, depending on your skill level. And so we're a sport that isn't just like overflowing with options. So we have to work that much harder already in a sport that's really hard.
Yeah.
So I think it also kind of just speaks to who we are as gymnasts. Like we're not just going to get things handed to us. We always have
Yeah.
to work to the constant, like next level, get the next thing, be the best as we possibly can be. So I think in that, even though it's really hard, it also like you come out with a lot of good skills and like tenacity at the end of it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's absolutely right. Um, because there are so many athletes that are very qualified to be competing at that level. But there's just not enough spots. There's too many kids for college coaches to see everybody. It's just not going to happen. I
Hmm.
mean, unless you're like on the national team,
Yeah.
or winning at, national, like JO nationals or something,
Hmm.
you're not just going to get noticed.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, it definitely takes a lot of self advocating, and just being willing to put yourself out there, even though that's
For sure. Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Very
Um,
scary.
yeah, but it's a good. I think it's a good thing to have to do, and what a good skill to learn, like you said. If there was one piece of advice that you wish you had known, you know, if you were going back through this, what's something that you know now that you wish you had known then?
Be consistent. You might seem like you're being annoying, and you might be annoying, but it's the pestering is going to pay off, and you're going to make sure that those connections you want to make are going to be made no matter
Yeah,
what if you're willing to make those connections. So I'd
yeah,
say just persistence is one of the most valuable things to have during the recruiting process.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I always tell kids. I'm like, you're definitely going to feel like you're annoying, and that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So, reach out until you get an answer from a
yeah.
coach. And, it might be no, and that's fine. Like, if
Hmm.
that's the worst thing they have to tell you is no, like, we don't have a spot for you,
Yeah, better
big,
that than never
that's
knowing.
okay.
Yeah.
I would rather ahead of time than like thinking 3 months later, 6 months later, like, what if, what
Hmm.
if I just send another email or made another phone call or, anything like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a little daunting, but I do
Hmm.
think it's worth it in the end. So,
Hmm.
um, awesome. Yeah. So what's a favorite memory of college gymnastics?
Oh, favorite memory of
No
college.
pressure.
Um, Definitely my senior year, which was the 2021 season. We made it as a team to the NCAA um, championships. We hadn't
Yeah.
qualified as a team in, I want to say, 7 years. It had been a while. And so thankfully, just the way things played out last year and through our hard work and dedication, we qualified as a team, and it was an amazing um, experience. And also, my sophomore year, we pretty much all made it as individuals, but I was able to make the event finals the second day on vault and compete
Nice.
in like the prime time meet, which was super cool. I was so
Yeah.
nervous,
That's awesome.
but it was so awesome, and I'll never take that experience for granted. Just like it's
Yeah.
one of the coolest things I've ever done with my gymnastics career. So
That's awesome. What vault did you do?
I did, a Kazamatsu. So I did Kaz full and a half, so a Suk 2.5.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
That's cool. I'll have to look that
yeah.
up. Awesome. Well, that is all the questions I had. Do you have any other, words of wisdom or anything like that for future or current recruits out there?
Hmm. I definitely do. Let's say the right thing. um, hmm. I think just things I've already said. Just like be smart, be proactive. Always ask for help. Like the one thing that you don't want to do is not ask for help and act like you have all the answers. Like
Yeah.
definitely lean on like teammates who have gone through it, people you know in the college gymnastics world.
I told you these
It
don't
was
stay
going
in
to
my
happen.
head.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely lean on your support system. I think is a very important part of this process.
I think we might need to redo that.
Okay, I can do that. I figured.
I could like feel it coming out of my head.
I was like,
Oh my goodness, we were doing so good
we
until that.
were. That's okay.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna ask you that question again because I don't know how easy it would be for Wendy to edit. So
Okay.
We'll just start over from that
Awesome.
question. Squeeze these into my head. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Anyway. So I think that's all the questions I had for you. Do you have any other, words of wisdom or comments or anything for future or current recruits out there right now?
Definitely lean on your support system during this time, whether that's coaches, teammates, family, friends, people in the gymnastics community. Like any help is going to help you achieve your goals. So definitely don't shy away from advice, questions, anything. Definitely lean on your support system.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that all sounds really good. Thank you so much for chatting, and I'm looking forward to looking at that vault video.
Thank you.
So anyway, but yeah, you have a great rest of your evening, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Yes, thank you, Amanda.